thank you for tuning in. You're watching Quick Morning. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. The countdown has begun for the much anticipated India Economic Summit that begins in less than 3 hours from now. First up, let's get started with the top stories that we're tracking. In preparation for the upcoming Maharashtra Assembly elections, Prime Minister Modi is set to visit the state for a series of important meetings that are aimed at strengthening the BJP's campaign and outlining the party's vision for the region. Prime Minister Modi will hold campaign meetings in Solapur and Pune today. The Border Security Force, in coordination with the Punjab Police, successfully recovered a drone in the border area of Amritsar on Sunday night, thereby thwarting an apparent cross-border intrusion attempt. The operation was based on reliable intel that was received by the BSF's Intel Wing. Acting on the tip-off, the BSF troops, along with the Punjab Police personnel, conducted a search operation in the area around 7:10 p.m. During this operation, the BSF Jawans recovered a drone from a farming field. The drone, which is commonly used for surveillance and payload delivery, was found abandoned in the area. The recovery highlights the increasing use of drones by elements across the border to smuggle arms and ammunition and other contraband into India. The BSF spokesperson also confirmed that the timely action by the security Jawans had successfully foiled the latest attempt to breach India's security along the Punjab border. The BJP in Punjab has filed a formal complaint with the Election Commission of India seeking the registration of first FIR against Punjab Congress President Amrinder Singh Raja Waring. The complaint accuses Waring of allegedly misusing a religious institution for political purposes in the run-up to the upcoming elections. In a statement that was posted on social media platform, the BJP highlighted that Raja Waring had purportedly attempted to influence voters visiting a religious place during this election campaign. The party claimed that this is a violation of the Election Commission's Code of Conduct, which prohibits political leaders from using religious places for electoral gains. In a stricter move to curb air pollution menace, the Haryana government has doubled the fine for stubble burning now for 2 acres of land. The farmers have to pay an environmental compensation fee of 5,000 rupees up to from 25,100 earlier. So far, the fines that have been collected amount to 1.65 lakh rupees.
देखिए, अब तक कैथल ज़िले में 172 AFL के मामले आ चुके हैं। उसमें से हमने 172 आइडेंटिफाई कर ली हैं, जिसमें से हमने 67 ऐसी हैं जो नोट फाउंड हैं और 93 पे हमने कंप्लेंट और FIR करवाई है। और इसमें जो फाइन कलेक्शन हुआ है वो 1,62,500 रुपये का फाइन हमने कलेक्ट कर लिया है।
At least 11 armed militants and 1 CRPF Jawan were killed in a fierce gun battle that broke out in Jakhurdor Karong Boro Berkat subdivision in Jirbam district on Monday afternoon. The clash occurred during an operation by security forces which had been deployed to counter militant activities in the area. The exchange of fire was intense, with both sides sustaining significant casualties. In addition to the CRPF soldier, the identity of the militants involved in the confrontation still remains unknown, as investigation is still underway. The CRPF has expressed its condolences for the loss of its personnel and reiterated its commitment to maintaining security in the region. Security measures have also been heightened in the district. Evacuation and rescue operation is still underway following a blast at a refinery of Indian Oil Corporation Limited in Vadodara on Monday. Amid rising smoke following the blast, the workers from the refinery were being evacuated. According to preliminary information that's been received, there are no reports of fatalities or people sustaining injuries in this blast.
अभी आग की घटना के चलते हुए अंदर रेस्क्यू की कार्यवाही चल रही है। किसी को गंभीर ईजा हुई हो या फैटेलिटी हुई हो, ऐसी अब तक तो कोई जानकारी हमारे पास नहीं है। आगे रेस्क्यू करने के बाद ही हमें पता चल सकता है कि क्या हो रहा है अंदर।
UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath on Monday accused the ruling JMM-led coalition of converting Jharkhand into a dharmshala for Rohingyas and Bangladeshi infiltration. Yogi Adityanath, who addressed 4 rallies on the last day of campaigning for the first phase of polling, said a double-engine government was needed in Jharkhand for treatment of mafia, stone pelters and those spreading anarchy and creating disturbances in festivals. He further urged people to remain united, saying if divided, they will be wiped out.
जिस प्रकार की घुसपैठ ये लोग करवा रहे हैं बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठियों का, जिस प्रकार की घुसपैठ इन लोगों ने रोहिंग्या का झारखंड के अंदर कराना प्रारंभ किया है, अगर डेमोग्राफी चेंज इसी प्रकार की होगी, आज ये लोग यात्रा रोक रहे हैं। बहनों और भाइयों, आने वाले समय में घरों के अंदर घंटी और शंख भी नहीं बजाने देंगे।
A local court on Monday remanded in police custody till November 19th alleged main shooter Shiv Kumar Gautam and 4 others arrested in connection with Baba Siddiqui murder case. The UP Special Task Force and Mumbai Crime Branch on Sunday had arrested alleged shooter Shiv Kumar and 4 others from Nanpara in Uttar Pradesh Bahraich district. The 4 others accused were arrested for sheltering Shiv Kumar and helping him flee to Nepal. Attempting to flee to Nepal, the crime branch produced the accused before additional chief judicial magistrate. Seeking the remand, police even told court that it wanted to probe the financial aspects of the case as well as how the shooter procured the arms used in the crime.
मुंबई क्राइम ब्रांच के साथ किए जा रहे अभिसूचना संकलन के दौरान अभियुक्तगण के नेपाल भागने के संबंध में सूचना प्राप्त हुई थी, जिसके क्रम में एसटीएफ उत्तर प्रदेश तथा मुंबई क्राइम ब्रांच की संयुक्त टीम द्वारा नानपारा क्षेत्र में अभियुक्तगणों की गिरफ्तारी की गई।
Piyush Goyal, the Union Minister, has criticized Congress President Kharge for his indirect remarks about UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's appearance, calling them unfortunate.
मैं समझता हूं कि राजनीति में वो वर्षों से कभी खड़गे जी ने ऐसा ना पार्लियामेंट में या कोई और मौके पे कहा कि उन्होंने अपने कपड़े बदलने चाहिए, और क्या कपड़े कौन पहने ये मुझे लगता है व्यक्ति के खुद की इच्छा अनुसार। हमने इस देश में फ्रीडम ऑफ ड्रेसिंग भी है, फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच और एक्सप्रेशन के साथ।
And in international stories that we are tracking, Vistara operated its last flight under its brand name before being merged with Air India. Let's take a look at the other business stories that you're tracking in this edition. Ahead of its merger with Air India, Vistara operated its last flight under its name. The merger will reduce the number of full-service carriers in India from 5 to just 1 over the span of 17 years. As part of the merger, Singapore Airlines will acquire a 25.1% stake in Air India, which marks another instance of a foreign carrier co-owning an Indian airline following the liberation of foreign direct investment norms. The National Capital Region is set to undergo a major transportation upgrade with the introduction of a new regional rapid transit system linking Gurugram and Greater Noida. The 60-kilometer route will connect Rajiv Chowk to Noida Sector 142 and Surajpur in Greater Noida, with the key stop at Bata Chowk in Faridabad. The project, which would feature 8 intermediate stations, is expected to cost approximately 15,000 crore rupees and aims to alleviate traffic congestion and reduce air pollution in the region. Additional plans include extending the RRTS network to conduct to connect in Indira Gandhi International Airport with key NCR regions such as Faridabad and Jewar Airport. Meanwhile, the Delhi Meerut RRTS, currently partially operational, is expected to begin full service from Delhi as early as January next year. Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited, the ONGC, has announced its final results for the July to September quarter on Monday, November 11th. The company reported a 25% decline in net profit, which dropped to 10,272 crore rupees for the second quarter of the current financial year. Compared to the same period last year, the decrease is attributed to low production from ONGC's joint ventures, resulting in a 25% drop in consolidated net profit. ONGC's primary source of revenue comes from its oil refining and marketing operations, which saw a 9.2% increase in the July to September quarter. According to the company's press release, ONGC also boosted its natural gas production in September, achieving a 0.3% year-on-year increase. In other business stories that we are tracking, the Reserve Bank of India has introduced a new operational framework on Monday, allowing foreign portfolio investors to convert their investments into foreign investment, direct investment, if the equity holdings in the Indian companies exceed 10% limit. The regulatory change provides a clear process for FPIs that inadvertently surpass a threshold, enabling them to maintain their investments under India's FDI rules. Currently, FPIs are permitted to hold up to 10% of the company's total total paid up equity. If they exceed this limit, they previously had to either sell shares or reclassify them as FDI. Under the new framework, this reclassification must be completed within 5 trading days of the transaction that exceeds the limit. The State Bank of India's latest report suggests that the rupee could depreciate by 8% to 10% against the US dollar if Donald Trump returns to power following a record low of 84.38 rupees, while Indian markets and certain assets classes are temporarily benefiting Trump's historic comeback. As the 47th president, attention is also focused on the broader economic implications and supply chain adjustments. And let's now take a look at international stories that we are tracking in Tuesday's edition of Quick Morning. Delegates gathered on Monday for the opening day of COP29 in Azerbaijan for this year's climate talks that are expected to be high less profile, with 48 fewer heads of state scheduled to speak. Key leaders from the top 2 carbon-emitting countries, China and the United States, have been absent, while the central issue remains climate finance. Experts even warn that poor nations urgently need up to $1 trillion annually to address climate change for exceeding the $100 billion pledge in 2009 Paris Agreement that was largely unmet, with both the US and Germany undergoing significant political changes. There are rising concerns that climate finance commitments could be undermined, especially after Trump's re-election, as he has been known to downplay climate change and remain skeptical of foreign aid.
We are apprehensive about that because we need global efforts to combat the climate change. And now, without the USA, which is very big and very important, I think that these global agreements will get weaker without them.
Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg labelled the move to hold the COP29 climate talks in Azerbaijan absurd. On Monday, as she joined a demonstration against the summit being held in Baku, Thunberg even joined the protesters in neighbouring Georgia and said that Azerbaijan should not be given legitimacy to host the United Nations annual summit to discuss how to avoid increasing threats from climate change, given that nearly all of the country's exports are oil and gas, 2 of the world's leading sources of the planet-warming carbon dioxide emissions.
Now, COP29 is being held in Azerbaijan, which is a repressive occupying state, which have committed ethnic cleansing and which are continuously cracking down on Azerbaijani civil society, and are now trying to use this COP29 as a chance to greenwash their crimes and human rights abuses. And we cannot stand silent in that, and we cannot give them any legitimacy in this situation, which is why we are standing here united saying no to greenwashing and no to the Azerbaijani regime.
Afghanistan's first delegation at United Nations climate talks since the Taliban's return to power in 2021 has arrived in Baku. Azerbaijan, in a bid to garner support for climate action in the climate vulnerable nation, the head of the country's Environment Protection Agency said that Afghanistan is among the worst affected nations by climate change and needs the world's support to deal with extreme weather conditions like erratic rainfall, prolonged droughts, and even flash floods in the country. Israel's new foreign minister said on Monday that there had been certain progress in efforts to end the fighting with Lebanon's Hezbollah. However, a spokesman for the militant group for the terror group said that it had not received any official proposal and was prepared to wage a long war if need be. Israeli foreign minister said that any agreement would have to include enforcement mechanisms to prevent Hezbollah from reconstituting its military infrastructure near the border. The UNSC resolution that ended the 2006 Israel-Hezbollah war required both Hezbollah and Israeli forces to withdraw from a buffer zone in southern Lebanon that was to be patrolled by the UN peacekeepers and the Lebanese army. Israel says that Hezbollah has maintained a military presence right up to the border, while Lebanon has accused Israel of violating other terms of the resolution ever since the deal was brokered.
There is certain progress working on the issue. We are working with the Americans on the issue. There is progress, and we will be ready to be there if we will know, first of all, that Hezbollah is not on our border, is north and to the Litani River, and that Hezbollah will not be able to arm again with new weapon systems, so on.
Yemen's Houthi rebels on Monday claimed that they had launched a missile that targeted Israel. Houthi military spokesperson made this claim in a pre-recorded video message claiming that they had launched a Palestine-2 ballistic missile, describing it as a hypersonic missile that was aimed towards a military base in Israel. Meanwhile, the Israeli military stated that they had intercepted a projectile that was approaching Israel from the direction of Yemen. They also mentioned that the fire did not enter the Israeli territory. Spanish Prime Minister announced a new economic relief package for victims of the storm that killed more than 220 people in the country's worst natural disaster in more than 6 decades. Spain is committing a huge sum in a new aid relief package for victims of the 29th of October floods. In fact, this package lists 110 different measures and joins a previous package announced earlier in the month, which was also a great sum between direct aid and loan guarantees. A host of relief measures come after tens of thousands of Spaniards in eastern city of Valencia earlier on Saturday protested demanding the resignation of regional president in charge of the emergency response to last week's catastrophic floods. President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are appearing together for the first time since she lost the presidential race to Republican Donald Trump. Biden and Harris were seen participating in the annual Veterans Day observance at a cemetery on Monday. They laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, and Biden was among the officials who delivered remarks. It was also Harris' first public appearance since last Wednesday, when Democratic Vice President delivered a speech at her alma mater, Howard University, after she conceded defeat to Donald Trump.
I've said it many times before. I got in trouble for saying when I was a young senator, I said we have many obligations, but only one truly sacred obligation. Sacred. Prepare those we send into harm's way, and to care for them and their families when they return home and when they don't. It's an obligation, not based on party or politics, but on a promise that unites us all. Today, as we strive on, finish the work of our moment, to bind the nation's wounds once again, we commit and recommit to this sacred vow.
And for now, we head into a very short break. When we come back, we'll get you all the action that you're tracking from the world of sports and entertainment.
Это весело.
You're watching Quick Morning. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Let's now take a look at the sports stories that we're tracking in this edition. Head coach Gautam Gambhir said Jasprit Bumrah as designated vice captain would lead India in the opening test against Australia in Perth if regular skipper Rohit Sharma is unavailable for the game due to personal reasons. The straight-talking former opener also indicated that KL Rahul could be asked to open the innings in place of Rohit Sharma. Launching an unexpected scathing attack on Gautam Gambhir, former India cricketer Sanjay Manjrekar said that the India coach lacks right demeanour and words while interacting with the press and urged the BCCI to keep him away from media duties. Manjrekar's comments come hours after Gambhir addressed media in a pre-departure press conference ahead of the 5-test Border Gavaskar Trophy that is going to take place in Perth against Australia. The Pakistan Cricket Board would seek clarity from the ICC on hosting of the Champions Trophy since they've been intimated that India will not travel for the tournament, but there is still no word on a hybrid model being proposed. The PCB was told by the ICC that BCCI will not send its team to Pakistan after the decision was communicated to the world governing body as well. A new era begins as Manchester United as Dubin. The latest coach to take on the challenge of reviving the storied English club. After more than a decade of on-field decline, the 20-time English champion has turned to 39-year-old Portuguese who has delivered trophies and a thrilling style of soccer to Sporting Lisbon, but takes over a club that has seen the habit of wreaking even the biggest reputations. And in other sports stories that we are tracking, several questions are being asked of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli and how they plan to turn things around down under. Kohli faced severe criticism from former Australia player and captain Ricky Ponting, who questioned his place in the Indian 11. Gautam Gambhir too did not hold himself back and said that Ponting should not worry about Australian cricket. Former England captain Michael Vaughan says that he won't be surprised if retired pacer Jimmy Anderson ends up at Chennai Super Kings, as the former champions prefer a fast bowler who can swing the ball. The 42-year-old Anderson, who retired from Test cricket earlier this year, surprised everyone by registering himself for the IPL for the very first time. Defending champions India defeated Malaysia by 4-0 in their opening match against Women's Asia Championship Trophy hockey tournament. India scored through Sangeeta Kumari, Preeti Dubey and Udita. Eliminated from the playoffs at the end of the second round, Joey Logano received a second chance when another competitor was disqualified. Logano was added to the round of 8 following Alex Bowman's disqualification and immediately went to Las Vegas Motor Speedway to win the third round opener. It made Logano the first driver locked into Sunday's winner-take-all finale at Phoenix Raceway, with 3 weeks to prepare for Ford for the title run. And time to take a look at all that's making from the world of glitz and glamour. Let's get started. It's a final countdown for Tom Cruise's next Mission Impossible outing, with the film's first trailer hitting the internet on Monday. The release of Final Reckoning was postponed due to the actor's strike and will be arriving on the big screen in 2025, a year later than expected. Initially called Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2, the latest installment is directed by close Cruise collaborator. In the movie, Cruise is said to wear the same outfit he donned during the skydiving and motorcycle riding stunt at the closing ceremony of the Olympic Games. The ACLU Southern California hosted its annual Bill of Rights Awards in Beverly Hills on Sunday night. The organization had a starry list of guests in attendance, including Mark Ruffalo, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Key Wai-Kwan. Mark Ruffalo expressed that most impactful work in his career had been telling stories that not only entertain but also drive change.
what I really love about what I do and what I think really has been probably the most impactful work of my life has been, the stories I tell, whether it's Spotlight or it's Dark Waters or it's The Kids Are All Right. Those are all films that people loved. They entertained them, but they also had a hand in changing legislation, changing attitudes, really changing the world in a way that transcended politics and just reminded us of those things that we really care about.
Actor Jodie Turner-Smith expressed her excitement about the project, praising the incredible trailer of her upcoming series, The Agency, and the talented cast, especially Michelle Fassbender, whom she described as kind, wonderful, and amazing woman. She further highlighted the dedication of the producers, noting the significant investment of time, money, and effort that was put into the production. Writing her autobiography was a massive undertaking for Nae Cherry. One of the most challenging things she's ever done is what she said. However, she's also deeply grateful that she went through the process, allowing her to revisit many moments from her life, some of which might have been forgotten, and gave her an opportunity to reflect on and celebrate her life, her family, and her friends. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of our broadcast. But stand by for the most anticipated India Economic Summit that begins in less than 3 hours from now. Stay tuned.